Okay, we are going over to our last panel presentation right now. I have sitting just beside me Mr. Steven van de Schotbrugge. Is that right? No, Mr. Steven van de Schotbrugge.
Butchered.
You told me it's okay when I will pronounce it like this. Okay. He is the CEO of Chartworld. I think you had the longest way to come here because you're coming from Cyprus and you brought us some very wonderful weather today. Thank you very much.
I lost 15 degrees on the way.
But as you can see, the people here in Germany, they need more sun. So can you please come over a bit more often? Yeah. Stephen will tell us a bit more about digital data beyond ENC. And I think I also have to tell you a bit more what he did before. He is the CEO of Chartworld International since 10 years right now. Before that, he was the managing director at Transas Singapore for 2 years. Again, good weather, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, good.
It's not accidental.
I can see a system in that. Before that, he was the supply chain business director at Navico, and this was done for 4 years. Okay, Stephen. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. Just give me 30 seconds.
Any help?
No, we should be okay. Mm. Mm. So I think that beep before was the internet falling out. Oh yeah, let's do it without it.
You will give us a sign if you need any help, right?
No, we'll just do it without it. It's fine. Okay.
Wait. You can have mine.
It's okay. Well, thank you very much for having me back. Really, I was here 2 years ago. I love being back in Hamburg, especially in a venue like this. It's amazing. I think you should all be very happy to be here. I'm very grateful for you all coming in from your home offices, no doubt. And I think you should remember that your kids just got home. So any efficient working was over. So you should be happy to be here. I know from 3 o'clock onwards was very challenging working from home. But anyway, it's very, very nice to be traveling for business again. And quite unbelievable that my last business trip was this event 2 years ago. Right, let's start with something a little bit fun.
This is what you did in the last 2 years?
Yeah. So
That's equal.
Now, we all have our own opinion and misgivings and anecdotal stories of about digitalisation going wrong, yeah? Much like our shrimp-eating friend. However, given the advances that have happened in the last few years, I think we're doing something right. And whether we like it or not, or whether the stories tell us that it's not going to work, it's here, and it's here for good, and we need to be approaching it in a systematic and clever way. Yeah, it's not going to slow down. With that in mind, I'd like to take a little recap on what I prophesized 2 years ago. I talked about some key enablers in shipping, and we looked at advancements in AI and cloud computing, and the rapidly increasing connected world, and reusable rockets. This was a graph that I showed 2 years ago that tried to demonstrate how many connected devices we'd have by the end of 2021. They talked about 36 billion. What actually happened is we hit 46 billion, which I think is remarkable. COVID probably has a little bit to do with that. We all bought laptops and connected other things, but the real big mover in this is the 31 billion connected IoT devices. Yeah, the world is becoming connected. We know this. It's going really, really fast. And their current predictions have us at 125 billion by 2030. So if you are not working out how you are going to connect devices in your everyday work and in your processes, you are already behind. Things have to be connected if we are going to digitalize it properly. We talked about reusable rocket technology and how I believe that's going to change the world. Now, I had a nice little graph, or I had a nice little web page online showing the Starlink satellites that are up in the air. 2 years ago, during this event, I told you that they had 60 satellites up and that they had a plan to launch a lot more. As of today, they've got 1,791. So in 2 years, they've launched over 1,750 satellites. We know they've got ideas, they've thrown ideas out there about 40,000, but they have permission to launch 12,000. In 2 years, they own 65% of the active satellites in space. Yeah. A few weeks ago, they announced that all future satellites would have laser communication links, which it reduces the requirement for land-Earth stations. This is a really, really important development for true global communication and global coverage. And it makes it cheaper to roll out, so it makes the end-use price cheaper. Yeah. I think that announcement will change shipping more than the container did. Yeah, and it's gone by relatively unnoticed, but it's huge. Moving data, within the next couple of years, 3, 4, moving data back and forth on a vessel will be a non-event. It'll just happen. We'll have backups to the backup. You'll have crew demanding that they've got access to Starlink. This has all happened because of 2 really important metrics. It's quite mind-blowing, this new space race that we're in. And we hear Jeff Bezos moaning about Elon Musk, and they're all starting to try and win the space race in the court. But what's important here is in the last 5 years, the average weight of a satellite has dropped 80% to around 10 to 20 kilos. And that, combined with an incredibly massive drop in the cost of launching satellites per kilo, now means Elon Musk and his mates are launching these satellites for $30,000 to $40,000 each. This is a graph from NASA. They believe in the next 40 years we'll be down around 10 cents a kilo. That means our kids will probably have to have some sort of strategy about what their companies will do to be in space as well. Yeah, so this space race is the major enabler, and it's done by accident, but it will change the shipping industry. Yeah? So everything we do, everything we've been developing through the last few years has this ubiquitous communication eventuality in its DNA. Everything you are buying, everything you're building, everything you're investing in should have this built into its capabilities. Now, we've heard people say what digitization is, digitalization, and we know now that digitization is just the paper chart that got turned into an electronic chart, or the publication that got turned into a PDF. Digitalization is obviously having that ecosystem, accessing information faster, having AI analyze it, giving us a useful set of information to guide a human into making the best decision or to stop them from making a really, really bad one. Every industry is digitalizing and changing because of it. So, put your hand up if you haven't seen this graph. Anyone? You were asleep if you didn't, because it popped up a few moments ago. But I took it one step further. I think the IHO did a nice little video to introduce their vision of what this is, and I think it's quite helpful. So let's just have a listen.
In order for marine data gathered from around the world to be used by all ocean stakeholders, the IHO is helping to increase their digital uniformity with the S100 Universal Data Model. This framework provides standards and formats for data from a variety of disciplines. This means data can easily be shared among ocean branches, marine traffic and harbour operations, coastal development and ocean sciences. It can also be meshed and displayed together, providing a complete picture of what is at sea.
So I think that's a nice little fluff video that gives us a little idea of the vision. And the vision is really important. In my opinion, it's just not happening fast enough. I think we're leaving our mariners, our crews in limbo. We've digitized everything, but we're failing to digitalize it. We're failing to give them the benefits of what that digitization should have brought. I think we're slow. Yeah, and we all knew there was going to be a period that would have been acceptable if it was 5 years, but I think we're starting to talk about 15. Yeah, so I believe we have to work faster on this, and we have to come together and find ways to making this happen. Yeah, everything we're doing is trying to at least find a way of doing this now without S100. We know it's coming, we're excited about it, but 7 years is too long. Yeah? So, let me show you a few things that we're trying to do to fill the gap, if you like, yeah? And a little bit about what the S100 data model will bring to us. So we've obviously got the simple ENC. The S57 format we have today becomes S101, yeah? Nothing dramatic about that. What we're really excited about is trying to get better data into these systems using things like S102. Now, what we've got here is a short video of what an ECDIS currently thinks the bottom looks like. Yeah? The ECDIS takes its information from data provided to it, bathymetric data, and you see these sort of 5, 10, maybe 20 metre contours. Now, I think we're all smart enough to know that's not what the bottom actually looks like. But that's what we're navigating ships on at the moment. Yeah? What we actually have, this is the same body of water, it's just the high definition data that the HOs actually have to make these cells, make these charts. And what you see is a totally different bottom profile. That's what we really want to be using. Yeah? So what we end up with, if we have that sort of data, you end up with the ability to have much better contour lines and to make much, not only safer, but more economically efficient routes. Yeah? And these are the kind of things, this has been talked about for a long time, and as you mentioned which should come first. As ECDIS manufacturers, as value-added data resellers, we're ready. We want the data. Yeah, we can do this sort of stuff now. So in terms of collaboration, give me a call. Yeah, we're ready to go. The other thing, sort of a bugbearer for me is we've had this digitized technology for some time, but when we're as manufacturers, as software developers, we're failing our mariners by not providing them added services or functionality that takes all of this massive amount of data and turns it into something useful. Here we've got an example of CatTalk. Yeah, this is what a mariner would see today when he does a safety check on an ECDIS, on any ECDIS. Yeah, he would get an all green, yep, you're good to go, no worries. Yeah, and then he is supposed to manually look at the quality of the data, which is indicated by those 3 stars. Yeah, and then look at the CatSoc policy for that quality, and then apply that to his route. That's what most. No, yeah, there's only one ECDIS. You might guess whose it is. That doesn't require it to go like that. Yeah, I think that's really, really tough for mariners, and we're seeing accidents happen because this manual process is simply not taking place. Yeah. So what you end up with, if you automate this, is a system that says, wait a minute, we've looked at the quality of the data, we've applied this difference, and we can immediately see that in that area there are some dangers, and you might need to adjust your route. It seems simple, but it's not happening. Yeah, it's not out there. It's not a feature or functionality that's delivered. Yeah. This is a great example. This is actually from an accident. Relating to, of course, other things, but the crew did a route change on the fly. They had their cross-track error. That's the top left is the view of their ECDIS. You had the isolated danger mark. They passed through safely. They thought they were fine. And in the end, they hit that reef. Yeah, the data wasn't good enough. Sure, the data was off, but it was within the CatSoc limitations. Yeah, so what we ended up having is you can see that it was doomed. Yeah, it was going to head straight over that reef. But again, I think that would have been solved if they had had that simple function or feature in that system. As far as we're aware, the official chart still looks like that, top left. CMA CGM Libra, this must be a case that you're reasonably familiar with by now. It was a case where a passage plan was deemed inefficient because it was missing a notice to mariner. 8% of the cargo interest chose not to pay, and it's been in the courts for the last 10 years. Yeah, and remarkably, while this has happened, and we still see this myth of people believing their charts are already up to date, that there are no requirements for notices to mariners on ECDIS. Here we have another short video of an experiment we did. Yeah. We took NM6274, that's the notice in question in this case, and we entered it into the ECDIS. Now, as you can see, it's quite a complex process with many entries, taking this very experienced user over 49 minutes to complete. Yeah, and later he noticed himself he'd made a few mistakes. Yeah. Using overlays, the ECDIS can actually automatically do this. It can display all the relative notices and include them in route checking. Mundane and often incorrectly completed procedures can be done automatically. S124 will actually assist, who knows what it finally looks like, but this will actually assist us putting this on all ECDISes. Here, with the click of a button, you can actually see how we can apply notices to mariners automatically. Yeah. It's a lot easier. That's digitalisation. That's helping mariners. That's not asking them to take something that was in the paper world and then do it in the digital world. The court also upheld that passage plan was inadequate because it did not have any no-go areas. In addition to that, we're also seeing a lot of governments charge pretty heavy fines for entering areas that you're not supposed to be in. Yeah, so this is becoming much more of an urgent situation. S121 would provide a lot of automatic guidance and reduce a huge amount of workload, but it's too far away. So we've developed something to go in between. The disappointing part of that is you have to have our ECDIS. Yeah, but again, as the S100 evolves, that would allow us to provide these kind of services to all systems. Yeah, what we see here is an example of a no-go area, of an example of the safety contour following the nice blue and white water. That's quite easy for a mariner to understand, and he can see, okay, I'm not allowed to go on the blue water. Yeah, that's great. What we see as they move to the next chart, all in the same country, that no-go area, that safety contour now actually is in the blue. Yeah, this is United States data. It's a modern hydrographic office, and they still have these sort of confusing elements. Yeah, even in this case, it actually shows that the passage plan will cross the safety contour, making it, in principle, unsafe. But we know it's not. Yeah. And finally, I wanted to show you. We talked about. Idris commented on it, and it's part of his thesis. And this is a project that we took on with the idea of getting 21st century information into the hands of a mariner on top of 19th century surveyed charts. Yeah, it started with us taking satellite imagery in a small but very busy waterway, where the surveys date back. Some of the surveys date back over 100 years, and what we found was quite alarming. We detected 4,724 shoals that were not represented correctly on a chart. So we had matching shoals, we had obstructions, we had uncharted shoals, misplaced shoals, and just shoals that weren't on a chart, or shoals that showed on a chart but we couldn't find them. So with that in mind, we started to look at accidents, and we tried to understand if any of the recent accidents could have been avoided, or at least the crews could have been helped if they had this data. And this is what we came up with. I've got two more. So what I wanted to do here and my mission today was to say, hey, it's amazing what we're doing in terms of technology. It's exciting what S100 is bringing us, but I think we all owe it to our colleagues, our people in the industry, our people sailing our ships, to move faster, to look what's out there now and make these decisions that help them. If you haven't looked at all of your processes in your companies and onboard your ships and found a way already to save 40, 50, 60 hours a month, you're probably behind. Yeah, we need to be moving faster on this. We cannot leave our mariners in limbo. Yeah. Thank you. A little bit of a down note, I suppose, but my mission is for us to keep going. I think we've come a long way, but we can't stop here. We've got to keep going. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Schuldbrugge, thank you very much for showing us all these details. First of all, I like to say very impressive presentation. Well done.
Thank you.
Are there any questions out here about the presentation?
Yes, Burkhard Müller from Horizons Maritime Service. I think what we just heard is an insight into really complex technical systems, right? And we even further develop them. And what do you think, or what is your judgment about the level of competence of the users, the mariners, about their knowledge of ECDIS and their knowledge of their systems on the bridge? It starts with voyage planning, voyage monitoring, all this kind of stuff. What is your statement about that one?
It's quite popular to blame the capability of the mariner, and I guess what I was alluding to is I feel we've let them down by not moving faster. I think it's really, really complex. It's like me expecting you to tune your TV every time you walk to it, yeah, or remember all the phone numbers in your phone. We're asking them to do the same thing, and we're asking them to do it on 7 different phones. Yeah, we're not moving fast enough, and that's manufacturers, that's ship owners, that's it's also training as well. You can't always deny it, but yeah, I'd rather look at ourselves and say, how can we do it faster and how can we do it better? One of the major things we developed in the business model was free software upgrades inside our offering. And that has one purpose. It means we can get new software and new developments out to those people faster. Yeah, it's designed for nothing else. It's a nice thing to sell now, but as an industry, we have to understand how fast it's moving, and accepting that a piece of software is going to be on a ship for 7 years with very little change it's unacceptable. Yeah, and so it's not them, it's us. That's my opinion. Yeah. We're far away from providing this. Well, we're getting closer and closer, and that's our mission. But we're far away from producing a system that's easy to understand. Yeah.
Working? Yes. No need for me to ask.
A basic question. I mean, you are saying that there's a lot of uncharted oceans. How much is really charted to a quality that will avoid these kind of accidents? And I think we talk about 1%, 2% that is properly charted, and the rest is good guesswork. But I'm happy to hear a real figure.
We've got a lot of hydrographers around here. What's your opinion?
So true.
Tom's pointing at you.
Thank you. Well, we always said around 5% is accurately surveyed, but this is outdated. But you have to differ this from deep sea floor and those areas. And that are shallow areas that are relevant for surface vessels. So in that case, there are no real figures. I think maybe Tom has
He's pointing back, Tom.
so I think to have a closer look at it, if you say, well, at least on a current S44 standard that you would expect from surveys, it's less than 25%. And in some areas we are quite good, in some areas we are very poor. This is especially in those countries that don't have the capacity to do this on their own. So this is would be a problem to have high resolution, high quality depth information. The shallower it is, the more complicated it gets to get this covered.
I mean, our mission is to provide modern data as well as we can, and I think we've sort of shown here that there are certain areas that the available data is just not that modern. It's not that new, but there are ways of filling those gaps in. Yeah, there are ways of making this safer, and it's affordable. It doesn't need to cost the world. So I think it's just a matter of waking up and saying, okay, we recognise the problem. That's a really interesting solution. Let's take a look.
Thank you. And another question in the corner over there.
Thank you for this really nice discussion and the presentation with a nice outlook. My question goes to one point which was not addressed, that is this kind of error household we have in our data and the, let's say, systematic errors which could occur during sailings. I just give two examples as a question, is that positioning data coming from satellite navigation sometimes is erroneous due to atmospheric disturbances, and these provide systematic errors in the data, and nobody considers this really. We always take the data as it is, shown on the display or going into the databases. Or in bathymetry, we have the same issue with water density turbidity, that we get errors in depth measurements from refraction of the sound path in the water column. And usually nowadays, it's not in the time of Matthews when we got errors in the deep sea to 200 meters and more, but even in shallow waters we have the refraction phenomena due to layering of the physical properties in the waters. And all these phenomena of what we are really measuring and taking for granted is rarely considered in building up our new modern world. So how do you cope with this? Thank you.
I'll take the first one, and let me be clear that I don't have shares in SpaceX or Starlink. But I actually read an article the other day, and I got in touch with the professor that's doing this research. They've been using Starlink satellites for position accuracy to 8 meters, which I thought was quite fascinating. That could potentially not only solve communication issues, but it could give us a second alternative to GPS, something that we could measure against. So I think with more and more satellites being launched, I truly believe the reliance on GPS will go away, and we will have systems that we can. You disagree? Or?
Yes, I disagree because. Of course, you get a statistical accuracy boosted up by stacking and with more satellites. But imagine atmospheric disturbances coming from solar winds and things like these, or the humidity content in water in the atmosphere. Then you get systematic errors in all the positioning data you collect. And I'm not addressing anisotropy from the antenna configuration on board the vessel. And we have investigated this in very close look, and it gives amazing errors on the positioning of a vessel due to the heading of the vessel, because of the influence of all the iron around the antenna. These kind of things, they are started to be investigated, but now we are building up these data, and we think that we have only statistical errors, but these systematic errors will not disappear by just increasing the number of measurements. Thank you.
Mr. Stoltberger, is this a question which you can answer, or is it something which we have to address to the first row data provider?
If anyone knew the answer to that, I'd really like them to give it to me now. That would be really helpful. Have you got something to say, Florian, on that? Yeah.
Just for my interest, about what error we are talking. Are we talking about 5 meters, 10 meters, 20 meters? Do you have? Because I don't have I'm not aware of a big systematic error. So can you give some examples how big it could be? In 20 to 50 meters. Okay.
Okay.
The Starlink satellite system has been launched to provide faster information from Wall Street to Tokyo. That's the business model. I think if something gets in the way of that, that business is going to fail very quickly. I would like to think that they've considered a lot of these atmospheric issues when it comes to getting data to the shore again. I don't have the answers, but you've got to keep going forward, don't you?
Question answered. Are you happy?
I assume you're going to the underwater bit.
Somebody else like to answer. Perfect.
May I?
If you like to, of course. It is a discussion. You can.
I'm not don't want to go into detail of the navigation of the vessel because that is positioning. If you handle the differential GNSS, you improve your position significantly. But as you mentioned, the symmetry as well. I would like to say that we are when we and other hydrographers do hydrographic surveys, we always have to have a quality assurance to make sure that we avoid systematic errors and all the other errors. So of course you cannot have 100% accuracy with no errors. When we talk about errors, it's nothing problematic. It's just another meaning for accuracy of the data. So the reliability, which maybe is it 20 centimeters or it's half a meter or is it 1 centimeter, depending on what the customer needs. You have to have a very, very complicated survey or a rather quick one, depending on the needs of the customer. And we have to quality assure this.
Thank you. But your question is answered with this? More or less. Oh, wait. I forgot. I have to give you the microphone.
I really appreciate the answers, both, and the question. And it is putting the issue on the table. Quality assurance and quality flagging of data is important. And when you are dealing, and your presentation showed it from very rough ISO curves to high detail, but it's principle the same. The problem are systematic errors which are done, and then it is difficult. You have to have the knowledge on these details, and we still need research and to look for it. And the systematic errors we put into our data lead to systematic problems. And the last question I didn't really ask for, it is the robustness of our systems against really other disturbances. And the robustness question in navigation, I think, is really an issue. Let's say we know with these solar wind issues that communication can drop down, and then the vessel is without control for a while. And all these things happened. We have the same in hydrography with these monster waves. Then the question comes up, is our autonomous, automatic future robust enough against the variety of things which could happen. But the real problem, to my perception, are systematic errors in our databases.
It's a fair statement, and obviously, as we go forward, research will be done. I've got no doubt. But none of the accidents I've looked at in the last 10 years are based on systematic errors. Human. Yeah. So I think I would rather live in a world where we had systematic errors and we were dealing with those systematically than human errors and killing a lot more people. And I think that's where we're at as a world and as an industry, solving the problems we have.
Thank you very much. I think we had another question over here, still existing? Okay.
Yes, first a small comment. The U.S. Navy went out of astronomical navigation for many years. Now the sextant is back on the ships and on the training in Annapolis. So
You're not going to see an increase in sextant sales. So let it go.
No, but yes, a small comment. But my question is really, there's still a couple of HOs that has not produced their charts in S57. So I really agree with you that we are in a hurry. This process has to improve to get better data and to get everyone involved. But how can we help those countries that are still so behind? I mean, even developed countries, someone was mentioning Australia here before, and I've been quite involved in Australia lately. It's a very federal HO, but very independent states that do not fully communicate all the time. So the data is very poor in terms of S57 availability. So how can we help those countries that are so far behind to come back? And then I have another question about the logbook. Being a Navy officer some years back, we did not only do the deck logbook, we also did a war logbook. And it turned out in very stressful situations, we had it all automated into our combat system where we could log the war book. But when it got stressful, we did it by hand anyway. So have you tried also to look in situations where it's very stressful and you have to keep you're overloaded with information and you have to do your deck logbook?
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I think we're doing it one by one, okay? Okay, who likes to start? Logbook question first?
I think it's a fast answer. In my opinion, the stressful situations are the interesting ones because you see it directly in the handwriting if you have the official document. And if something happens and you write the logbook later on, you will see it, or somebody may guess it. So it's more valid if the third party can believe that the logbook is done just right on time. So the question is usability, kind of usability. So the interface has to be in a way that even in a stressful situation, the operator can easily put in the information and not type any specific complicated things. And I hope we approach this in the right way, and it's easy to operate. But yes, the question of stress is the digital solution must be easier to use than the handwriting. But in the end, if you write something by hand and put it later on in the logbook, it's a problem, in fact, I think.
Regarding S57 data availability in those countries that are not capable to do this right now, there are different opportunities. For those that are very small countries that will probably never be able to build up their own production of S57, they have to have partners that that help them. And there are some corporations already in there. Some countries say, well, we will do the work for you, and they share the income on it. But for some countries that want to do this on their own, the IHO has a capacity building program active, and I've been chairing it for a decade or so. So I know quite well where are some difficulties. The IHO doesn't have much funds to support them very, very intense, but we have a training for trainer program supported by Korea, so Republic of Korea. So we improve the capacity of people, or the knowledge in the region, in the countries, so they can build up the capacity to do this. But we are always in need for support by companies, partners, countries that go and have a joint work with them to assist them to develop this. And this is something that they are really interested in, and not only for S57, but also, of course, for S100. They are really interested in S100, those countries that are on the brink to have the capacity for that. So it's a plea for support to that.
Thank you very much for the answer. Good.
Yeah, for the logbook, just a question. You mentioned to write down a thing. Why we not go a step further? I mean, somebody have Alexa, Google, Echo or something. Why we not make some voice logbook? Like, for example, vessel X going alongside.
Here, I have it. Hello?
We do it.
No, but is it possible? Or are you working on such things, or you just...
We don't work at it, to be honest, but it's possible. You can do it by, if you look at your Word, for example, that's already possible. So the technology is there. So if you order it, we do it for you. No problem.
Yeah, the thing is, then we avoid this, handwriting and so on, and we have the video, we have the microphones already there somehow.
Yeah, but still the documentation must be done actively, not like, oops, there was a course change accidentally and there's written course change. No, there must be clearly stated that the officer decided to make a course change. And there, you cannot do it like taking it from some information out of the actors or whatever. If there's a course change written as active operation, then it must be done. And then you can do, of course, by voice or something like the video on the beginning of the last nice presentation. Of course, you can do. It's technically possible, but we need somebody pay for it and audit.
Okay.
It's the same question like he raised.
No, and it needs to be in a seagull-free environment.
No, you have to order, not to pay. Maybe later on.
But it's from my knowledge, it's okay that you automatically recorded it. A human has to sign it, so all the information can logged automatically, and must be immediately submitted or signed by a human. So it's in the end of the day same what you're saying, but in the end of the day, I fully agree. You do not need any more handwriting or typing or whatever. You really can feed this information from actors, from oil record, from tank level, from tank sounding systems, and feed it automatically into the logbooks, and then you can automatically improve it.
Yeah, may I? Yeah. So according to the standard, you need to have approval. And all logbooks, also the e-log, has an approval procedure, like Patrick just said. So the operator puts in, the system put in information, and the chief mate and the master approve it in the end.
Correct.
So we stick to the facts also. So we are still keeping to the past and not going for the future, as I see, to sign something. And yeah, of course, we can later unlock it, what we talk or what we say. Like we're going alongside, first line is shore. I can speak it loudly and clear. I have the information from the forward, from the aft station. And why I just cannot speak and then I have it locked in the time lock? I mean, this basic things. Of course, later on a course change, you do it actively on the autopilot or you have a track pilot and you agree on the course change and this can be locked as well. So why are we not thinking a little bit more for the future and keeping things on the past and sticking to have to be approved and so on and so on? It's nice, have to be, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
I understand the point. I mean, but we have the problem also when we look at autonomy. It's the same problem. We are in a legal structure. We cannot just do something. We have to follow the standards and the rules, and we are bound to it. So we obviously we cannot leave it at the moment. And also, this is the main hint against autonomy, I think. The Philippines will not agree on autonomous ships.
We have 2 logbook providers over there. I can see that.
No, that's just a small piece of puzzle in our system. But I hope nobody from Classification Society is here. Okay, then we can come to the conclusion. We as industry have to drive the Classification Societies, the regulations, the rules to what we need. And there are a lot of rules which are written in the 80s, in the 70s, where digitalization was not there. And in the end of the day, that's also a huge problem. So that's a job to be done for all of us, and let's do it together. In the end of the day, the technology is there. I can talk to my home, everything is completely automated, I don't need any switches at the wall. Yes, I do it with my voice. So I can put also things into a logbook with my voice. So that's technical-wise.
Technically, yes.
Not the real rocket side.
Okay, thank you very much. I was just asking over here, but this is a mistake, because my feeling is that we have a lot of questions about possibilities and stuff like that, and you say we have the technology, and the guy over here is asking for a quicker solution, but I think it would be good if we have somebody here from DNV or Bureau Veritas or something like that. Do we have somebody?
No,
because for me it seems that it's a question of regulations, isn't it?
Correct.
And money.
Only is it a flex state?
Muss ja jemand bezahlen, was
Ja,
Business
klar.
Case dafür.
No? Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can go a little bit over the top. We can ask the IMO.
Aren't we back to the handwriting? I mean, we all know everybody has a different pronunciation, and we have seen your nice video, and the engine is not starting. So we are coming back to handwriting. If the guy is not talking clearly, the logbook will not have a clear message.
No. So, sorry to say, there are a lot of videos like this around with boats, with other things. At the end of the day, believe me, or trust me, the technology is there.
Okay. This is what we heard before. Okay, good.
I cannot demonstrate it here, but in the end of the day, look around with the Alexa, with Siri,
of course,
with all the assistants you daily, day by day using, and it working in private. So why not for such easy thing like recording something for a logbook?
Yeah, I totally trust in Siemens as well as in Alexa and Google and so on. I owe some more questions. I have one question over here. I don't have to forget the guy over here. Okay, now it's going fast. Okay, let's start here.
Yes, to the logbook. You said before that you have approval from the German flag, so it's flag safe. Does the German flag allow us to handle emergency checklists within the logbook, So, because this would be very beneficial. Because on a vessel, you have a checklist you need to fill, and you need to fill the bell book and the ship's logbook with the same data. So when you can handle the emergency checklist in the logbook directly, you just work through the checklist and say, now I did this. You have directly a timestamp. So this would be very beneficial. It's not very technically, so it's very easy to implement. I think what I've seen in the tool, but it's a regulation matter again. So is this allowed? Because this would be a big benefit for the crew in stress situations. Coming back to my colleagues'
on C.
comment before.
I cannot see that it's not allowed, so it should be allowed.
You have plans to do so? You have plans to implement something like this?
We do have.
They do
Okay.
now.
It's voice recorded and tomorrow ready.
Maybe it's a bit faster than the voice recording, but.
Oi!
Perfect. I have to go to this guy first. Sorry. Or is there a direct connection to the logbook as well? You like to answer? Okay. So you are in the first row.
Yeah, we have several ships running with the electronic logbooks already approved, and it's beneficial with the flags, Flyberia, and also it was discussed with the classes and DNV and the ABS. And we have deck logbooks engine, Marpol, all logs running, and it helps to avoid a lot of mistakes done by crew. For example, when chief engineer has to record any Marpol logs properly, and it's linked with the deck and engine logbooks, values, figures of the bunkers on board. If there is a mistake in the discharging of sludge or bunkering, it's automatically linked and giving you alert. Then, in all ways, you are in compliance. There, chief engineer will not mistake, then MRVDCS reporting in line, and EXI and CI, all this comes together, yeah? So, from the practical view, we didn't have any complaints from the crew, just for information that it's impossible. And yeah, the logbooks are built in such a way that you can select the action which can happen on board with the possibility to enter something extraordinary. But, pre-selected actions already there, as agreed as per company SMS, whoever has its own SMS, like noon report, bunkering, discharging, so on. So it's pre-selected, quickly, fast, and automatically recorded, just for information. Yeah? And regarding the chart word ECDIS, I would like to say that was very, very good presentation, and we have several ships with chart word, and the way that you manage your product is absolutely amazing, that you get rid of the database CDs to be sent on board and all, and all of the implementations. It's really nice, and feedback from our crew is also positive. The rental equipment, also owners are happy on this, on your offers. Yeah, and the overlay of the satellite images, that's great. Yeah, and me personally as a master, it's a nice tool to have as an aid to me, that I will have standard info, additional info, and maybe 2 pair of eyes from my watchman, from my officer, next to me, in case of the, some dense traffic. Yeah, that's amazing, and really, when I first time saw your presentation before, from your, from Tanita, that was impressive, and everything is working fine. And the way you arrange that, no hardware and no extra deliveries to be sent on board to make system operational, and with internet access, you can get fully ECDIS operational anytime, and with the support, that's what we need. Once the Starlink will be working for us, we will put the small satellite on board. No, there's no question. As soon as it will be available for us, we will put it. Some of my friends has it on their cars, already. So this is the way we are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
asking for this.
Okay, I can remember that I had one more question over here, and was this a question as well? Yes? Okay.
Well, thank you. It's not a question, it's just a comment. And what I would like to say is the last discussion or the last 5 to 10 minutes, what we should not do is to reinvent the wheel. Because we have technology on board already who takes all these voice records. It's the VDR. It's there. In modern companies, in well-organized companies making use of this technology, they just instruct their offices if you have certain information, like handovers, important information. Just stand there where the microphone of your VDR is. That's it. And it's all there. So we don't need to reinvent an electronic logbook which is capable to record voices. And I fully agree with you. We need to be more efficient. We need to be quicker. Because there are still flag states in this world, and it's a European flag, who does not allow electronic log keeping at all. And it's depending on which approach do we take, what technology we combine on which level. And then we have really smart systems which avoid that the guy on the bridge is getting overloaded and making a mistake. And that's, I believe, that's the way we should look for. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Is there an answer for the comment?
No, a comment for the comment.
A comment for the comment.
Maybe we got a comment for a comment for the comment afterwards. For me, VDR, recorded voice, is not a digital voice. What the colleague is asking for, a digital voice. So talk with in the end of the day, a computer which translate the information into something which a computer can work on. Just a recorded voice is more or less unusable.
Thank you for the comment on the comment. There was one question from Mr. Rudolph over here, and another one over there. Of course, I know.
Yeah, I'm moving away from the electronic logbook now. And thank you for this fantastic statement about Chartword. We have the check prepared outside. No, just joking. A question to Mr. Dealing. I think this event, again, has established that S100 is the key to several things. It's a key to digitalization in shipping. It's a key to safer navigation, for more economical navigation, and especially dynamic data are very important too. And it's what we require and what is needed here, also for more accurate data. Now, the frustrating thing here is, and that's what we also learned, is that I think S100 was invented, or the idea was born like 15, 20 years ago, in that range, I think even longer. And we will not expect that during the next 5 to 7 years, that's what you said, to have that fully in place in the shipping industry. So that's really frustrating. So we need that very quickly. What's your opinion? How can we speed that process up? Do you have any idea? Is there something we can do to get this done? Yes, because I know what's holding it up. It's certainly not the manufacturers which are ready to go. It's certainly not the shipping industry which is interested in that kind of data. And the data is available. That's also what we know and what we established today.
Yeah, I see one big hurdle now is the IMO. So if you're all convinced are
they working for us?
Your government to support the input into NCSR and MSC to bring to make S100 mandatory with of course, a period where it's a transition phase. Then this is a prerequisite. But of course, we shouldn't wait until this happens, because we have to finalize our standards and improve our standard. But this is one important thing. The other thing is to provide S101 data and all the others. This is not really a problem for hydrographic offices like the one in Germany or in the UK or other countries, but it is difficult for those countries that are already struggling with S57. So to have a global coverage will take quite a while. But this is what I'm appealing is not to wait for the one that is the most behind, but we can start at least in those regions where we have S100 data available, and this makes it more attractive maybe for others to follow afterwards. So we have to be capable to provide both. But if I'm providing S100 data, there's a need, of course, that ships are equipped with an ECDIS that can operate with S100. And I have I need to have this converter to downgrade S100 data, S101 data to S57 to help those that are, of course, for quite some years will operate with S57.
I know a company who's doing that.
Of course, it might be the company from where the question came, right?
Could be.
Could be. Could be. Okay. I got another question over here.
Yeah, thank you. Markus Höster, and I'm an ECDIS lecturer and doing training for students, but also for navigators and pilots who are in the business for a couple of years. And Mr. van der Schaubrugge, I'd like to thank you for your presentation and also for keeping the focus on the ECDIS usability and who has worked with the main systems which are on the market nowadays, which are implemented in the fleet. Everyone knows that there is room for improvement in kind of usability. I mean, there are pretty much very complex systems, like, for example, the Transat system, which is really good, but you need hours of training if you really want to fully understand that. And I can see it from the training side that there is, especially in sense of the under-keel clearance and recognizing the category, the CAT log, that there is, let's say, a hurdle which could be improved by better usability, as you've shown today. And of course, also, and this addresses Mr. Dehling's presentation a bit, there's also a need for more bathymetric ENCs, definitely, also in the German waters. So we cannot live any longer with depths with lines of same depths in 5 to 10 meters depths. So that is something we can improve even without S100, from my opinion. And thanks for focusing on the usability, and I think that's maybe something we can do in between the 10 to 20 years until the S100 comes on the market. Okay, so thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Turn around.
Just another question. No problem. Are you thirsty? You like to have a beer later on? Yeah? But first of all, a question.
So I'm between you and the beer, right? Yeah, Friedhelm Mogart Kegeler, 7 Seas Hamburg. The question was raised, how can we speed up the process regarding the standardization with S100? Mr. Dehling nicely explained that's the IMO. I don't know, someone from the IMO here, I don't know. That's obviously the foot on the brake here. And what we can see that all these procedures have to go through. There are performance standards for ECDIS, and they need to be amended to support, to accommodate S100 products, and so on. There will be other standards, test standards. So I guess we're talking about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, something like this. And when we discuss this, we all look at S101. And you explained it nicely. It's not so easy. We have S57 ENCs, and now we want to go to S101. There are these smaller organizations that would have difficulties, and the bigger may be able to cope with it. But what we think, and that's our perspective as a chart distributor, but also as an kernel and actors developers, that in this collection of S100 tools, there's some low-hanging fruit, which is not necessarily S101. What we see in the ECS market, what we see in PPUs is that they can just, technically it's easy just to combine the S102 with the S57. We're not saying that we should deviate from the plans to get S100 into the performance standards and so on, but maybe there is another approach we could look into, and what maybe IHO could look into is that wouldn't it be possible to look at this low-hanging fruit, these S102 high-density bathymetry, and combine it with S57 ENCs we already have? We have a huge coverage here, and make it available for the SOLAS market before we have to, not just to wait until everything for S100 is in place. And I guess that's something we would appreciate if that could be taken into account. So then it may be possible to avoid this lengthy process, or to speed up, to get a shortcut with respect to the lengthy process of the IMO. Don't know if you want to comment on this, but that would be my comment here. Thanks.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Very short. Fully agree. I see the limitations currently with the bathymetric ENC, for example, that we are producing, that they are limited to certain users, only for vessel traffic centers services and for the pilots. So currently it's only for pilots. If we extend this for the use for the mariner on each vessel, it might be more processing needed for the use of the data. It's pure topographic information. It's not really the thematic information that you have in a nautical chart. In a nautical chart, you make sure that you're on a safe side with your data. A topographic chart means, or topographic depth information means that you have a certain accuracy, and there might be less, might be more within your with a certain width of your accuracy. And if this is a bit more complicated to understand and to get used to, and I think it might be too much for the mariner, who is already annoyed from CATSOC. And CATSOC is to be honest, a terrible thing, but it's the easiest thing we have currently to be used. But we need to have a better quality signal for the user, the mariner, to make it easy for them, because they have a lot of tasks anyway on the bridge, as you all know. So to get a decent information about the reliability and the accuracy of their depth information. If there's such a depth, can I go there or can't I? This is a bit more complicated than when using just a simple S57 data set. So the pilots are experienced in that, and the officers on a VTC, they are as well experienced on the use of it. But to make it to bring it to all the mariners, it's a bit more complicated in that case. Or you have to derive a different product, maybe quite automatic, to bring it to the mariner. But still, it's quite you need to process it to make it as easy as possible for the mariner to be used. This is a good work for 7Cs, of course.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Daly. Yeah, we had so many questions over here. I think we are absolutely over time right now. But, however, I have only one last question, and it is very simple to answer, but I only need a yes or a no. Do you like to have a beer?
Yes, please.
Yes.
2. I'm trying to give up.